Donald Trump, combined with a crop of absolute total loser MAGA candidates, are giving Democrats a real chance of finally taking back the Senate. And we're gonna start in Texas. Take a look.
This is the best looking polling for Democrats in the Senate race since really the 20th century. Just take a look here. This polling looks so much different than it did 8 years ago. You take a look here, James Talarico, the latest poll against Ken Paxton, he's actually up by 3 points. It could be real. Every single time I look at the poll, I'm going, this can't be right. This could be very, very real. Democrats have a real shot in Texas.
Every time I look, this can't be right. But now we are many polls into Talarico's advantage over Paxton. It varies. You'll see some 2s, 3s, 5s, or whatever. I prefer the 5s myself. But just in the last day, there was another. He's up 2 over Paxton, and that is a big swing from Ted Cruz's last race. And he points out that a lot of it comes down to independents. Independents have shifted 39 points towards the Democrat from the Cruz race to the polling that we're seeing right now, which is a big shift and gives the Democrats a real chance of taking the Senate, which is or of taking Texas, which then gives them a real chance of taking the Senate, as he'll explain.
So Texas, if it were to flip, would be fairly key for the math for Democrats to tie to take back the Senate. What are the prediction markets saying right now about those chances?
You know, all of a sudden you put Texas in play, you put places like Iowa, Ohio in play. You know, you're talking about Alaska being potentially in play. Look at this chance to win the Senate. Now it's basically an even race. Republicans were 3-2 favorites a month ago. Look at where we are right now. Now Republicans' chances have fallen significantly. Just a 53% chance to hold on to the United States Senate. Democrats have a real shot indeed.
Indeed, and still 53-47. It still feels absurd. 53% there. You guys are gonna keep them in power. What the hell have they done? But a coin flip, compared to how people were talking about the Senate a year, 2 years ago, that's pretty great. And even if they don't take the Senate, they can be a lot closer. They can be in striking distance for 2028. That may be too late potentially for our democratic republic, but it is something, and it is good to see the polls moving in this direction. Not just in Texas, but we have in Ohio, Republicans say that they viewed private polling showing that their candidate John Husted is in a dead heat against former Senator Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown obviously has held office there multiple times before, so hypothetically you might think he should be even more up, especially considering the political environment we're in. But Ohio has become pretty reliably Republican over the last decade or two. So that's actually great news right there. And Republicans concede, this is my favorite part, that Brown has found a potent line of attack against Houston by casting him as, quote, the face of data centers in Ohio. It almost seems like this data center thing is becoming an increasingly salient political issue. Did anyone see that coming? But anyway, and finally, it is not super difficult to see where the blame lies. Certainly, sometimes you have bad candidates. Ken Paxton is a really bad candidate. Even the Republicans seemed to know that. That's why they tried to stop him from being the candidate. But you also have Donald Trump and his massive shadow looming over all of this. And Senate Republicans say that they see him as a growing political liability as they try to hang on to control of the Senate, citing the president's repeated attacks on their ability to govern and his refusal to abandon a proposed $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund for MAGA allies, which we keep hearing and sometimes I keep saying is dead. But I really doubt it. I'm gonna be writing on Substack later this week about that. And GOP senators also warn that Trump's relentless demands that the Senate pass the SAVE Act before the election, even though it has little to no chance of becoming law, risks demoralizing the Republican base. And that makes a lot of sense. If he keeps saying, unless we do this, the country's lost, and they can't do it, then why are Republicans gonna be excited to vote for these losers at that point? And Tom Tillis, who Trump obviously is not a big fan of, says, on the fund, I want this yoke off of the members who are up for election November because there's no way to explain it. No way to explain it whatsoever. And I love that there are multiple yokes dragging them down. I would love for them to lose in Ohio, and North Carolina is looking pretty good. And some people are talking about Alaska, which seems wild that Alaska could have a Democrat there. And Texas, obviously, for me, having lived in Texas, would be so massive. I really hope that they can make that work.